Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing something a bit different. We're not just discussing concepts. We're recounting three truly chilling stories, real events that happen when people found themselves home alone. These are situations where that feeling of safety just evaporates, and we want to explore what happened, the fear, the details. These aren't just tales. They left real marks.
Absolutely. And there's something deeply unsettling about these events. They really challenge our fundamental sense of security in our own homes. It's quite profound.
Okay, let's get into the first one. So imagine this. A young person, they're house sitting for their parents. But it's not just any house. It's this huge, newly bought mansion, like over a century old. And it's isolated deep in the woods somewhere, even before anything actually happened. Just being there, the sheer size of it, all these empty rooms, long hallways, it created this immediate feeling of unease. Just felt too big, too empty to be alone in. Then the first weird thing happens. They get home late one night, pretty tired. They walk upstairs, look down the main hallway, and the spare bedroom door is wide open. And they're sure they closed it earlier. It wasn't like instant panic, but it definitely ramped up that feeling of discomfort. They did a quick walkthrough, checked things out, didn't find anything. But that feeling of being watched, or that something was just off, it stuck with them. Couldn't shake it.
Right, and later that same night, things got much worse. They're downstairs making dinner, and they keep thinking they see movement. Out of the corner of their eye, in the dark living room, look up, nothing's there. They try to brush it off, nerves.
But then they go back upstairs, and the same spare bedroom door, it's open again. After they specifically closed it and checked it earlier. And the thought that just slams into their head is, this place is haunted. That's the immediate reaction. And that's when it really tipped over into actual terror. About 10 minutes after getting back in their own room, trying to relax, they hear footsteps. Clear footsteps in the hallway. They freeze, pause the TV, and just then, a loud thump right outside their bedroom door, then silence. Just absolute terrifying silence. Felt like forever. And then soft knocking, slow, deliberate taps on the door. It must have felt so surreal. After maybe a minute of just silence and fear, they finally yell out something like, "Who's there?" I called the cops. Just making it up, obviously, trying to scare whoever it was away. But the only answer. 3 more slow knocks. That's it. So, okay, now it's real. They grab their phone and dial 911. So they're on the phone with the 911 operator, trying to give the address, explain what's happening, that someone is right outside their door. And as they're talking, this horrifying sound starts. A loud, long scratching against the bedroom door. Unmistakably, like a knife being dragged across the wood. They start properly freaking out, then, begging the operator to send someone fast. And then the door handle starts jiggling, moving back and forth. Thank God the door was locked. Another minute of just pure terror. Then 3 more knocks, and then finally silence again. The wait for the police must have been agonizing.
It's truly terrifying. That escalation is key. From subtle unease, maybe dismissing things, to undeniable physical sounds, footsteps, the thump, and then the direct threat, the knocking, the knife. It moves from uncanny to actively hostile. And being trapped behind that locked door, hearing someone trying to get in, that violates your sanctuary in the most profound way.
Yeah, that idea of the sanctuary being breached. It's powerful. Oh. So the police arrive, maybe 10 minutes later, which must have felt like an eternity, and there's no one there. Gone. The only evidence left behind is this deep, long gash carved into the door from a knife. They checked everywhere, but the place was so old, so many potential entry points, old windows, doors, impossible to figure out how someone got in or out unseen. No leads. The parents came home, of course, but nothing else happened physically. But the person telling the story, they never felt safe there again. Ever. Every shadow, every noise, it felt different. They even thought they saw someone standing out in the woods near a window a week later. Maybe just a shadow, but who knows. The house was sold just a few months after that. Who the intruder was, what they really wanted, still a complete mystery. Okay, let's move to the second story. This one feels almost mundane at the start. A typical Friday night, someone living alone in a small suburban house. They decide to order pizza, late, waiting for it, maybe had a couple of beers, relaxed, and they doze off on the couch. Suddenly they're woken up by the doorbell, ringing, over and over. Still groggy, maybe a little tipsy, the first thought is, pizza's here. So they stumble over, open the door, there's a man on the porch. Still half asleep, they ask, how much do I owe you for the pizzas? And that's when things get weird. The guy, he's just wearing dark jeans, a gray hoodie, no uniform, no pizza warmer, no boxes, nothing. Looks a bit confused and gets this odd smile and says something like, "Oh, don't worry about that, the pizzas are still on the way." It's such a bizarre response. But they're tired, confused, so they just sort of mumble, "Okay." There's an awkward pause, and they close the door. But the real chilling part comes later. They fall back asleep. Then they wake up again, this time to a little clicking sound.
They grab their phone, check the time. It's 4 a.m., 4 in the morning. The pizza place closed hours ago at 1 a.m. The order they placed way back at 11 p.m. Canceled. So, who was that guy at the door? Then they get up, walk to the front door, maybe thinking they heard something else, reach down to unlock it, and realize it's already unlocked. They must have forgotten to lock it after that weird encounter with the man. And that clicking sound they heard. It was the sound of the door latching shut, meaning it had been open, or at least unlocked, for who knows how long, since that guy left.
That moment of realization is incredibly chilling. The unlocked door, the time discrepancy, it points towards something calculated. That initial interaction, the fake pizza delivery excuse, it smells like reconnaissance. Checking if someone's home, gauging their alertness, looking for weaknesses. The unlocked door was the opportunity. His return later suggests he was likely waiting, perhaps saw the lights go out again, assumed they were asleep, and decided to test the door. Finding it unlocked, well, the clicking sound could even mean he came inside briefly and then left when he heard them stirring again.
That possibility is terrifying. So this wave of panic just hits them. They look back into your dark, quiet house, and suddenly everything feels threatening. They quietly creep back to the couch to get their phone, and just as they grab it, they hear a definite sound. Something moving in another room. That's it. Full panic mode. They snatch the phone, bolt out the front door, run down the street before stopping to call 911. Police arrived fast, but whoever it was gone. They told the police everything. The description, the weird conversation. But nothing came of it. The person's strong feeling. He was scouting. Looking for an easy target, an empty house maybe, or someone vulnerable. Saw they were home, maybe sensed they were groggy or tipsy, and saw the unlocked door as an invitation. Waited for them to fall back asleep. If they hadn't woken up to that clicking sound, who knows how that night might have ended. All right, our third story. This one has a different kind of creepiness. It involves someone moving into a cheap, older apartment complex. They took the smallest unit, second floor, because it was affordable for a temporary work thing. And for the first 3 months, they were literally the only person living in the whole 4-unit building. Kind of weird, but okay. Then one night, coming home from work, super tired, there's a knock at their door soon after they get inside. The people was broken, couldn't see much. So they open the door. And there's this older guy, maybe late 40s, early 50s, standing a bit too close. Unsettling eyes. He asks if they live there, which is odd, since it's their door, but then smiles and says he's moving into the unit right next door. Just wanted to introduce himself. But here's the thing, he never actually gave his name. Still, the initial feeling was like relief. Okay, someone else is finally moving in, despite the weird vibe. But then, the very next night, things get stranger. They're walking up the outside stairs to their apartment, and they see the blinds move in the window of the unit next door. The one the guy claimed he was moving into. Looked exactly like someone was watching them come home. Really uncomfortable feeling. They hurried inside their own place, and literally, like 30 seconds later, knock, knock. It's him again. They're in a rush, trying to be polite but get rid of him. But he ignores that, asks for help with his thermostat, says he can't figure it out. Then he starts pushing, kind of passive-aggressively, for them to come into his unit to show how it works, even though they said they were busy. But it was winter, really cold out. They felt a bit bad. Maybe he genuinely needed help, so reluctantly hoping to just get it over with, they agree. So they walk the few steps along the balcony to the neighbor's door. It's already slightly open. He walks in ahead of them. But as soon as the protagonist gets a look inside, they just stop. Right there in the doorway. The apartment is completely empty, utterly bare. No furniture, no boxes, nothing. Just dirty walls, peeling paint, and this awful smell. It was obvious nobody lived there, nobody was moving in. The man sees them hesitate, turns back with this, like, creepy smile. Says, come on, it's just right here. Still pretending. And then the mask slips. He says again, come on in, but the friendly act just drops. His face changes to this dark, disappointed look. And he takes a step towards them, an aggressive step. That was enough. Instinct took over. They didn't wait, just turned and ran back to their own apartment, slammed the door, locked it immediately. A few seconds later, they hear their door handle click, jiggle back and forth. He was trying to open it. They grab their phone, start calling the police right away. He must have heard them because he pauses outside the door, then calls out in his weirdly friendly voice again, hey, what's wrong? I just needed help. He knocks a couple more times, and they hear his footsteps walking away. Silence until the police got there.
That moment of realization, seeing the empty apartment, his expression changing, that's the critical turning point. It confirms all the earlier unease. It highlights just how vital it is to trust your gut instincts. The unsettling eyes, the vagueness, the persistence, feeling watched, these were all signals. His goal was clearly to lure them inside. The empty apartment revealed the lie, and his reaction revealed the danger. Predators often use a pretext, a request for help, to isolate a victim. Recognizing those red flags early is crucial.
Yeah, that gut feeling. It's often picking up on things before your logical brain does. So police arrive. The man's long gone, of course. They check the unit next door. And, yep, confirmed vacant. He'd broken in, had likely been squatting there maybe for days, just watching. Watching when the protagonist left for work, when they came home. Every day. They moved out as fast as they possibly could after that. The implication's just chilling. If they had stepped inside that empty apartment with him, things could have ended so much worse. We'll never know what his actual plan was. So reflecting on these three stories, there are some clear common threads, right? They really show us how vulnerable we can feel. That violation of personal space, whether it's a sound outside the door or someone lying to get close, that slow buildup of dread, and the awful realization that the places we think are safe sometimes aren't. In every case, the real horror wasn't just the event itself, but the unknown, the not knowing who these people were or what they really intended.
Exactly. These accounts force us to look at our own sense of security differently. They show that being aware, paying attention to those small details, those inconsistencies, and crucially, trusting our instincts, even if they seem irrational at the time, that's incredibly important. The clues are often there, the gash on the door, the unlocked latch, the empty room. They're stark reminders that danger can exploit small openings, literally and figuratively.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? For everyone listening, how do we navigate this? How do we feel secure, but stay aware that threats can appear unexpectedly right at our door? Or maybe they're already inside somehow. What does understanding these patterns, these tactics, actually do to help us protect ourselves?
Yeah.
It's a difficult balance. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into these very unsettling true accounts. Thank you for joining us as we walk through them. If you found these stories compelling and want to hear more explorations like this, please do like, share, and subscribe to Horror Docs. We rely on stories like these to understand the darker side of things. Until next time, please stay safe and stay aware.